Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming this morning. Very happy to be here. I beg for the permission and blessings of all the senior Vaishnavas here and all of you as we continue to read Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we're reading from Canto number 10, chapter number 73, and we're beginning with text number 16. So I think we'll read till 21, where there's a 20, where there's a purport. So I'll read these myself, and then 20 we'll do together. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Pranata Kleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Again and again we offer our obeisances unto Lord Krishna, Hare, the son of Vasudeva. That supreme soul, Govinda, vanquishes the suffering of all who surrender unto him. Shri Sukha Uvacha Shamstuyamano Bhagavan Rajabir Mukta Bandhane Tanaha Karunastata Sharanya Shlakshnaya Gira. Sukadev Goswami said, thus the kings, now freed from bondage, glorified the Supreme Lord. Then, my dear Parikshit, that merciful bestower of shelter, spoke to them in a gentle voice. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Adhyapabhritivo Bhupa Mayatman Yakhileshvare Sudrida Jayate Bhaktir Badam Ashamshitam Tatha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, from now on, my dear kings, you will have firm devotion to me, the Supreme Self, and the Lord of all that be. I assure you, this will come to pass, just as you desire. Distya vyavasitam bhupa bhavanta rita bhashina Shri Aishwarya Madonnaham Pasha Unmadakam Dranam. Fortunately, you have come to the proper conclusion, my dear kings, and what you have spoken is true. I can see that human beings lack self-restraint, which arises from their intoxication with opulence and power, simply leads to madness. So next number 20 we'll do together, so please repeat after me line by line. Hay hayo nahusho veno Ravano narako pare Shrimadad Brahmshita Sthana Devadaitya Nireshvaraha. Hay hayo nahusho veno Ravano narako pare Shrimadad Brahmshita Sthana Devadaitya Nireshvaraha. Hay hayo nahusho veno Ravano narako pare Shrimadad Brahmshita Sthana Devadaitya Nareshvaraha. Okay, I'll just repeat then. Okay, so I'll repeat. If you can repeat after me, translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Hai Haya Nahusha Vena Hai Haya Kartavirya Nahusha and Vena Ravana Naraka Ravana and Narak Apare others also Shri due to opulence Madat because of their intoxication Brahmshita made to fail Stanat from their positions Deva of demigods Daitya demons Nara and men Ishvaraha rulers. Sorry, translation and purport by disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Hai Hai, Nahusha, Vena, Ravana, Narak, and many other rulers of demigods, men and demons, fell from their elevated positions because of infatuation with material opulence. Purport. As described by Sridhar Swami, because Hai Hai stole the desire cow of Lord Parashuram's father, Jamadagni, Parashuram killed him and his impudent sons. Nahusha became puffed up when he temporarily assumed the post of Indra. When out of pride, Nahusha ordered some brahmanas to carry him in a palanquin to an illicit meeting with Lord Indra's chaste wife Sachi. The brahmanas made him fall down from his position and become an old man. King Vena was similarly mad. When he insulted the brahmanas, they killed him by loud incantations of the syllable hum. Ravana was a famous ruler of the Rakshasas, but out of lust, he kidnapped Mother Sita, and thus her husband, Lord Ramachandra, killed him. Narak was a ruler of the Deities, who dared to steal Mother Aditi's earrings, and for this offense, he was also killed. Thus, throughout history, powerful leaders have fallen from their positions because they became intoxicated with their so-called opulence. So here we're continuing reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the message is loud and clear. Option number 1, become humble. Option number 2, be humbled. There's only 2 options in this world. Either we take it upon ourselves to become humble through our own endeavor, through our study, through our service attitude, through our prayers, through our deep introspection of our own insignificance. But if we don't manage to do that, then don't worry. Plan B is there. Become humbled. Become humbled by Krishna. Become humbled by the arrangements of material nature. Become humbled by some situation in the world. So here the Bhagavatam is giving numerous case studies of individuals who decided to go for option B, and therefore they became humbled. This is the plan of the Lord. Once there was a man, a minister, so he went to the king. The king said, I have a burning question for you. And if you don't answer this, I'm going to kill you. So the burning question he had for his minister, he called him into the court and he said, what is the daily work of God? What is the daily work of God? What does God do every single day? So the minister was a little bit baffled. He said, creation? The king said, how can it be creation? Creation is one-off, now and again. He said, you better give me the right answer. I want to know, what is the daily work of God? He tried some other answers, but none of them satisfied the king. Finally, the king told him, by the end of the day, if you don't come back with an answer, I'm going to kill you. So he was walking around the town, racking his brains. What is the daily work of God? Then finally he came across one poverty-stricken Brahmana who was chanting God's names. He thought he's pretty conscious of God. Probably he knows the answer. So he said, I need an answer to a question. The Brahmana said, what's the question? He said, what's the daily work of God? The Brahmana said, who's asking you? He's saying, the king who I work under, he is about to kill me if I don't answer this question. The Brahmana said, why? He's so arrogant, proud. He said, yes, if I don't answer, he's going to kill me. The Brahmana said, the answer to this question is so easy. He said, can you come with me? The Brahmana said, no problem, I'll come. So finally they came to the court. The king was angry. He said, you weren't able to answer my question this morning. I hope you have an answer. The minister said, I have an answer. It will come in the form of this poverty-stricken Brahmana. He'll tell you the answer. So the king said, this uneducated, this poverty, this peasant, he's going to tell me? Brahmana stepped forward. The king said, this better be good. You better have the right answer. So the king looked at the Brahmana and he said, so tell me, what is the daily work of God? The Brahmana looked at him and said, I can answer your question, but you have to understand culture. You are asking the question and I am giving the answer, yet you are sitting higher than me. You have to understand some culture. If you're asking me a question, then first you come down and you put me up, and then I'll answer your question. So the king was angry. He said, okay, but you better have a good answer. So the king came down. The poor Brahmana, he stepped up. The king said, so what's the answer? What is the daily work of God? And the Brahmana said, you've just witnessed the daily work of God before your own eyes. The daily work of God is to take the proud people down and lift up those who are humble and simple. This is the spiritual law of gravity. The material law of gravity is that if you push something up, it must come down. But the spiritual law of gravity is that as one becomes more and more humble, as one becomes more and more aware and accepting and acknowledging of their own insignificance, then Krishna lifts those individuals up. Therefore, in spiritual life, there's no room for pride. Pride cometh before the fall. Therefore, we have to understand that we are not the center of existence. It's amazing how in our life we just become proud by insignificant things. Pride keeps coming in again and again. As we become mature, we realize, I'm not that great. I'm not that insignificant. I'm not as important as I make myself out to be. They say in the first 20 years of your life, you're very worried what people think about you. In the second 20 years of your life, you don't care what people think about you anymore. And later on in your life, you realize nobody was thinking about you anyway. But still, we keep putting ourselves in the center, thinking we're so important. Therefore, here in this verse, all the case studies are given of those individuals who were brought down by Krishna or by Krishna's devotees. The first case study given is Kartavirya Arjuna. Kartavirya, this whole pastime is given in the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam. Jamadagni, the father of Lord Parashuram, had a desire cow, Surabhi. And Kartavirya tried to steal that cow. And when Jamadagni found out, he told his son Parashuram, kill him. Parashuram didn't need a second instruction. He just went for it. Parashuram was destructive. He killed all of the agents of Kartavirya, and then he approached Kartavirya. He annihilated all 1,000 of his arms, and then he decapitated him. Jamadagni looked at the anger of Parashuram. He was amazed. Kartavirya was so strong. He said that Kartavirya even managed to keep Ravan captive. That's how strong he was. But even he was annihilated because of his pride. Then the next case study given is Nahusha. This is described in the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam, that after Indra kills Vritrasura, then Indra begins to flee because sin personified is chasing him. And then what happens is Indra takes shelter in the stem of a lotus leaf. While all this is going on and Indra is trying to protect himself, meanwhile in the heavenly planets, Nahusha has taken charge of everything. So in English they have a saying, when the cat is away, the mice will play. And so because Indra was away and Nahusha was in charge of the heavenly planets, so immediately Nahusha had the idea to try to enjoy Indra's wife, Indra's chaste wife Sachi. So eventually Nahusha was cursed by the Brahmanas and he fell from his position. Case study number 3 given here. This is described in the 4th canto of the Bhagavatam. Anga, he wanted to have a son who would continue ruling. So eventually he had a son. But the son was Vena. So Vena was a destructive son. Very, very proud. Exploiting his power. Causing destruction in the world. And finally when Vena became so obnoxious, then the Brahmanas decided to kill Vena by their words, by their curse. And therefore Vena also pulled down because of his pride. Case study number 4, Ravan. Of course, everyone is famous. Everyone is aware of the famous story of Ravan, who tried to enjoy Sita, who tried to establish his authority. In one poetic rendition of the Ramayana, it's explained that someone comes to Lord Ram and he says, "You killed Ravan." And Ram said, "I did not kill Ravan. I killed Ravan. I did not kill Ravan. I killed Ravan." In other words, Ram says, it's not me that killed him. It's his sense of I, his abhiman, his feeling that aham mameti, this ego, this pride, that I, that is what killed Ravan. I was simply the instrument. And then here, case study number 5, found in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Narakasur, who had held all the kings captive. He was also killed by the Supreme Lord. He stole, here it's described in the purple, he stole a deity's earrings. I was trying to enjoy the opulence. Not just that, in the 10th canto it's described, he also stole Varuna's umbrella. And he also usurped the playground of the demigods. In other words, he was going beyond his jurisdiction, therefore killed by the Supreme Lord. So here, this is described, all these different case studies that one must become humble. Because where there is pride, whereas there's the intoxication of that sense of being superior, then one will not be able to survive. The material world is designed in such a way as to help us to re-establish our loving relationship with Krishna. And in order to re-establish our loving relationship with Krishna, we have to first be very, very clear what our own position is. Srila Prabhupada explains that the spirit soul comes to this world with 2 mentalities, 2 deviant mentalities. The first deviant mentality is that I am the controller. And the second deviant mentality is that I am the enjoyer. Therefore, if you look at, Prabhupada says, these 2 psychic tendencies are within every single living being. And therefore, what Krishna will do by the various arrangements of nature is teach us we are not the controller and we are not the enjoyer. And once those 2 mentalities have been adjusted by Krishna, then it becomes very, very easy to engage in a real relationship of love with Krishna. But while these misunderstandings, misconceptions are there within the spirit soul, then there's no question of love. Therefore it is said, without dainya, there is no question of prema. And therefore, the devotees are constantly reminding themselves that humility is something that I have to develop deep within my heart. In the beginning, we think the 4 regulative principles are there. No meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. Later on, we realize that those 4 regulative principles are easy. The hard 4 regulative principles are: number 1, to be more humble than a blade of grass. Number 2, to be more tolerant than a tree. Number 3, to constantly and joyously give respect to others. And number 4, to expect no respect for oneself. Those 4 regulative principles given by Mahaprabhu, those are the hard ones. Because we're constantly seeking respect. Too much respect will kill you. It will kill you, it will kill your spiritual life. Once there was a general in the army. So, he carried himself in such a way that everyone was so fearful of him. So every time they would see him, they would stand up straight. And so he was so intimidating to others that every time they would see him, people would just salute. Anyway, at one point in the army base, there was a fire. There was a fire on the first 5 floors. So everyone on the top floors, they had to jump out of the building. So those who were on the ground, they held a net. So everyone was jumping out, jumping out, jumping out. Finally, the general was also caught on the top. So the soldiers told him, jump. So he jumped, and as he was coming down, the 4 soldiers who were holding the net realized, my God, the general is coming. That was end of story. Game over. Too much respect will kill you. If you're a leader and people respect you because of fear, because of force, because of formality, that respect will kill you. But if you're a leader and people respect you because they appreciate you, because they have affection for you, then that kind of respect will humble you and elevate you. Srila Prabhupada's miracle was an external miracle, but an internal miracle. The external miracle was all the temples and all the worldwide society that he was able to create. His external miracle was the impact which he had in the world. But the internal miracle is that he did it through love. The internal miracle of Srila Prabhupada was that he had no material resources. But because he touched people's hearts with love, he was able to do incredible things in the world. The real leader is the leader who has love. The real leader is not the one who intimidates, but the one who inspires. The real leader is the one who is respected, not because of force, fear, or formality, but the leader who is respected because people have genuine appreciation and affection and love. And therefore, even when one takes up a leadership position, the respect which comes to them can be digested, provided that that respect is earned in the right way. In her prayers, Queen Kunti explains that one should be very, very careful because there are things in this world which can make one very, very proud. Janmeshwarya shruta shribhir edhaman amadapuman nirvarhatya bidatum ve tvamakinchana gocharam. Kunti Maharani says you have to be very careful because there are certain things in this world which are very intoxicating, certain things which will make you materially infatuated, as is explained in this verse. Certain things that will give you a sense that I am better than others. And these things will kill you. The first thing she says is janma. If one is born in a good situation, if one is born in aristocracy, if one is born with certain advantages, this creates a sense of superiority because within the heart of that person, they think, I am ahead of others. I am privileged. I am in some way special because I was born in a certain situation where I have all of these advantages. Then she says, Shruta. You have to be very careful because knowledge can make one very, very proud. Therefore, Krishna says the real Brahmana, Vidya Vinaya Shampanne Brahmane Gavihastini. The sages are endowed with knowledge, Vidya, but that knowledge is counterbalanced by Vinaya. Vinaya can mean different things. Prabhupada says gentleness. It also means humility, simplicity. Because the tendency is that when someone knows, when someone has knowledge, then they can control. And therefore, then they feel themselves to be superior to others. So from knowledge, pride can come. Just like Romaharshan Sutta, he was reciting Bhagavatam, isn't it? Naimisharanya. And Balaram came, Lord Balaram himself, the Adi Guru. And when Lord Balaram came, Romaharshan Sutta failed to honor him appropriately. So Balaram could understand. He has become proud. Balaram is Adi Guru. Guru means heavy. So Balaram is super heavy when he wants to be. So when he saw that Romaharshan Sutta had not offered respect, he says in the Bhagavatam, Rishir Bhagavato Bhutva Shishyudhitya Bahuni Cha Saitihasa Puranani Dharmashastrani Sarvasha Adantasya Vinitasya Vrita Pandita Manina Nagunaya Bhavanti Sma Natasyeva Jitatmana. Balaram, he looks at Romaharshan Sutta and he says, Rishir Bhagavato Bhutva, you are the disciple of Vyasadeva. Saitihasa Puranani, you've studied the Itihas, you've studied the Puranas, Dharma Shastrani Sarvasha, you studied the Dharma Shastra, you've studied practically every scripture there is. Adantasya Vinitasya, but you have not developed humility. Vrita Pandita Manina, but still you think you're a Pandit. Na gunaya bhavanti sma. What good qualities came from all of your study? No good qualities came. Natasyeva jitatmana. And therefore your study of Shastra is just like an actor who is performing in a play. Heavy. Balaram told him, Na gunaya bhavanti sma. What's the value of all of your study if you never developed any good qualities? And so, Janma can make you proud. Shruta, knowledge, can make you proud. Shri, beauty, can make you proud. Yes, beauty definitely will make you proud, because when one has beauty, then everyone gives you attention. And when everyone gives you attention, then there is a sense that I am higher than others. And finally, Kunti Devi says, Aishwarya, when you have wealth, then you can easily become proud, because then you have access to facilities, you have access to opportunities that other people don't have. And therefore one can think themselves to be higher than others. And so the daily work of God is to remind us that we are not so great, we are not so significant, we are not the center of existence, but rather that we are humble, insignificant, spiritual beings who become significant by rendering devotional service to Krishna with no expectation. And when we do this, then it brings a joy within the heart. Sometimes people feel that if I'm humble, then my life will be depressing. But humility is actually the greatest joy. Because when one is humble, one has no expectation. And when one has no expectation, then one will never be disappointed. And so here we're hearing in the Srimad Bhagavatam how there are many, many cases. History repeats itself again and again. If we become proud, then definitely Krishna will make an arrangement to bring us down. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So I'll just pause here and see whether anyone may have any questions or comments. Yes, Devikanandam.
With this Bangladesh situation, many brahmachari are in anxiety. What should we do?
Sorry, Prabhu, I didn't hear. Many brahmacharis are?
In this Bangladesh situation, many brahmacharis, some of the brahmachari, they are in anxiety. What should we do? We should keep the weapon, or we should learn and become Kshatriya, or what should we do?
Of course, it is a natural consequence whenever there is any danger in this world that someone feels some fear. That is a natural response. Even when Arjuna was on the battlefield and Ashwatham released the Brahmastra, then I said also Arjuna felt some fear. So it's natural, whenever there is some upheaval in the world, there's naturally some fear, some anxiety. However, on a deeper level, a devotee doesn't become bewildered because they understand Rakshishyati iti Vishvasho. They have a firm faith, a firm conviction that Krishna will protect. So, yes, a devotee must be fearless. That doesn't mean if we go across the street and a car is coming at 100 miles per hour, that we won't immediately feel something in our body. That is programmed by nature. Some fear, some biological reaction is always there because that's how the material body is wired. But in a deeper sense, one who has developed Krishna consciousness develops a fearlessness, understanding that ultimately Krishna will make an arrangement. Now, although Krishna will make an arrangement, that doesn't mean that the devotee shouldn't also make an effort on their part. Generally, devotees are living within the laws of the land. However, there is also apadharma, there is emergency dharma. And in situations when things become acute, in situations where the normal state of affairs is not going on, then devotees may also take some measures in order to ensure their preservation. And so, yes, in different situations, devotees may do different things. So yes, naturally, we feel a fear in this situation, but on a deeper level, we should be fearless. And in order to preserve our life, which is meant to serve Krishna, one may also have to take up relevant measures. Even Srila Prabhupada at one time, he also told devotees to keep guns. He said, but shoot in the air. If you shoot in the air, then they'll become scared and they'll run away. You don't have to shoot at them. So yes, we have to see the world is in a very, very unstable situation. So the devotee has to be practical.
हरे कृष्ण महाराज, मैं हिंदी में पूछूंगा, कोई अनुवाद करे। जैसे आपने कहा कि इस संसार में हम आने के लिए दो कारण थे। पहला तो इस संसार पे प्रभुत्व जताना, दूसरा एंजॉय करना, अर्थात इंद्रिय तृप्ति करना। तो मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि हम वैकुंठ में थे और वहाँ पर कोई कुंठ नहीं है, तो इस हमारे अंदर भावना कहाँ से आई वहाँ पर, जो कि इस संसार में आने के लिए? हरे कृष्ण।
I couldn't hear everything. In Vaikuntha there's no anxiety. Okay, that question. Yes, this question has been discussed by many acharyas, our predecessors, from many different angles. Srila Prabhupada, the way he seems to explain it is that, yes, it's not that we were dissatisfied in the spiritual world. You cannot be dissatisfied in the spiritual world because it's a place where there is no anxiety. However, Srila Prabhupada said we developed a curiosity. Curiosity. So therefore in English they say curiosity killed the cat. So because we were curious, therefore this one explanation is given, therefore we came to this world. But this is a long topic. We won't get into the details today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
But Prabhupada did say, don't think or don't, discuss how you fell. Fact is that we have fallen here.
Yes.
How to go there? Let's talk about that one.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, I just wanted to make a comment to Devkinandan Prabhu's question, if you allow. So, when you were responding to the question of Devkinandan Prabhu, the state of Jaipur came to my mind. Radha Govindji, Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Gopinath, they are from Vrindavan. They are there because devotees acted timely to hide the devotees and hide the deities and save the devotees. So I understand in the current situation, the brahmachari should be given the principle and not wait till the last moment, when it's too late. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you. Yes, we must take the practical measures. The Vaishnavas and the deity who has come in the form of becoming completely dependent on the devotee, they must be protected. So, yes, thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much Maharaj for wonderful explaining this concept of being humble. Maharaj, as conditioned soul, we have this tendency to be a controller, enjoyer, to keep ourselves in the center. When we take up some tasks, some services, so that mentality appears and because it's there. What measures, what practical actions we can take, Maharaj, to overcome such mentality and protect ourselves from killing ourselves especially?
So in the course of devotional service, we take up responsibilities, we take up services, sometimes we're successful, respect will come, position will come, and how do we protect ourselves against becoming proud. Therefore, the first thing is culture, the culture of respect. That one always carries themselves with appropriate culture. What we do in our behavior will then translate into what we feel inside. And therefore, a Vaishnava always maintains appropriate culture. They don't show pride. They don't show arrogance in the way they deal with others. They're always ready to bow before the Vaishnavas and take the humble position. That culture of respect is very, very powerful because it helps one to also develop the mood of humility within. The second thing is that one should have Vaishnavas in their life who can give feedback. If there is no one in your life who can humble you, then it can become problematic. And therefore, Vaishnavas always protect themselves from pride by having other Vaishnavas who can identify that pride and correct that pride. Everyone who's a leader must also be a follower. Otherwise, if you're the single person on the top, it will become very, very dangerous. So therefore, another way that one protects oneself is through Vaishnavas. And then, the third way that one protects oneself is through spiritual practice. Because in spiritual practice, one is again returning to the understanding that I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. You see, in our services, we can control and get so much appreciation and get so much success. But when we put our hand in a bead bag and we try to chant, then we become humbled because we realize I'm very small, I have no love for Krishna. I'm actually very, very far away from my goal. And therefore, in our spiritual practices, we become humbled, we realize. Therefore, like this, sadachar, good culture, sangha, good association, sadhana, good spiritual practice, all of this will help one to remain humble. Otherwise, yes, the tendency is, as soon as some success comes, then again, one comes in the illusion that they are something more than what they are.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, thank you for such a brilliant class. Maharaj, my question is, leadership often necessitates making difficult decisions that may inadvertently cause discontent among those being led. Like when you're a leader, you cannot please everyone. There always will be dissatisfaction amongst your people whom you're leading. So how does one reconcile the responsibilities of a leader with the spiritual ideal of universal love and compassion as outlined in the Srimad Bhagavatam? What practical guidance does the Bhagavatam offer for maintaining harmonious relationship while fulfilling one's leadership role?
So when you're a leader, then invariably you have to make decisions. You have to do things which some people will not like. So how do we reconcile with universal love? First thing is, as a leader, it's not just what you do, but it's how you do it. It's not just what you say, but it's how you communicate it. It's not just what decision you make, but it's how you implement that decision. Oftentimes, a lot of the offense is coming, a lot of the bad feeling is coming, not because of the decision, but because of the way in which it's implemented. Therefore, there must be great sensitivity in how these things are done. You see? That is very, very important. So that's the first thing. that oftentimes as a leader, even if you may have to say something very difficult, if you say it in the right way, from the right space in your heart, then people may not feel it as bad as you think they may feel it, because they will see this is coming from a very genuine space. The second thing is, when you have to make hard decisions, then also ensure that you give people opportunities and empowerment within that difficult decision that you have to make. Nobody should ever be stopped from devotional service. Nobody should ever be stopped from the opportunity to get closer to Krishna. Therefore, if as a leader you need to stop someone from doing something, then we should also try to arrange for them to have opportunities in other ways. In other words, you have to give alternatives. And in that way, you express your universal love, as well as carry out your duty of sometimes having to stop something by giving them other opportunities. So this is also another key aspect in leadership. And another thing in leadership is that, yes, sometimes we have to make hard decisions, but we should always be open. We should always be open to changing decisions. We should also be open to changing our perception of others if they change, if the situation changes. A leader is dynamic, and a leader is ready to also open up again if the situation or the person changes. And in that way, their universal love is still shown. Because if they have to stop something, but they're still open to reversing that, should the specifics change, then it shows that their heart is still a loving heart, like that. So yes, leadership means you have to do difficult things, but it doesn't mean you have to become the enemy of others. Sometimes people think leader means you become the enemy of others. No, why? Titikshava karunika surida sarvadehinam ajata shatrava shanta sadhava sadhubhushana. A leader has to be a sadhu. A leader has to be saintly. And yes, a leader may have to make difficult decisions, but still a leader is always surida sarvadehinam, the friend of everyone, ajata shatru, one whose enemy was never born. So it can be done, but it requires depth, it requires maturity, and it requires genuine Krishna consciousness. You can be strong and you can be sensitive at the same time. They don't have to be opposed.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, in your lecture, you made a very beautiful point about the general when he was jumping. That was very relevant, today's age. Thank you. So my question was, very beautifully explained, Maharaj, what is the consequences when you extract leadership by fear and force. You said that it causes your death, and you gave a very beautiful example. My question was, what is the fate of the leadership body which knowingly allows such a leader to continue? Because they are also responsible for the fate of this leader. Like you gave an example, all the followers, they just saluted him while he jumped. So what's the fate of the leadership body who's supposed to correct him timely?
Yes, everyone must be given feedback. Even leaders must be given feedback. In the world today, they have something called 360-degree feedback. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. If nobody is giving feedback, then it means our spiritual life is in a very precarious situation. And so the responsibility of a leadership body is to ensure that we create relationships of love and trust, whereby we can also, as leaders, give each other feedback and encourage each other on how to actually improve in our service. See, some people will see us like this. Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that people approach God for 4 reasons. Lowest is bhaya, fear. Higher than that is asha, because they desire something. Higher than that is kartavya, out of duty. And higher than that is prema, out of love. But did you know that people also follow leaders based on these same levels? If someone follows you because of power, because of your position, then they're simply following you out of fear. If someone follows you because you have power, then they're following you because of desire. They know you have power. So if they follow you, then they can get something from you. If someone follows you because of productivity, because you've done many things, you've achieved many things, then it's like kartavya, out of some gratitude to you. But when someone follows you because of your purity, because of your personability, because they're actually inspired, then this is like prema. So every leader must ask themselves, where am I drawing my authority from? Am I drawing my authority because I have a position? Am I drawing my authority because I've got power? Am I drawing my authority because I have productivity? All of those things, people may well follow you, but they won't follow you with their heart. When people you see, you have purity, and they're naturally inspired by your love, then they'll follow you for the deepest reason. So all leaders should be inspiring all other leaders to draw their respect, to draw their leadership power from the highest position. Then we will live in a society of no envy, and a society in which everyone will lovingly follow the leadership, and the leadership will lovingly guide the followers without any exploitation. So this is required. I don't know. There are hands. Yes.
Can I, Maharaj? Maharaj, you are traveling many countries, traveling and preaching. So we see in the social media that ISKCON is getting so much name and fame of some social activities. What is your understanding on world
Social
view?
activities? What you mean, like philanthropy?
Yeah, kind of book distribution or food for life, some activities like. What is you met some leaders also in your countries. We have seen some pictures. So what is their view, world view about ISKCON, and especially the internal qualities what we are carrying, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mission, the chanting of the holy names, or the deeper philosophy of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-gita. Do they understand really and appreciate for it?
Thank you. So what is the perception of ISKCON amongst the influential people in the world? Well, I think it depends where you go in the world. The world is a big place. Here in India, due to all of the incredible preaching and all the incredible dedication of the devotees, ISKCON has an incredibly wonderful reputation. And that is credit to all the incredible sacrifices and efforts that the Indian leaders have made over many decades to build those alliances. But yes, around the world, people are appreciating the Hare Krishna movement in different ways. In the Western world, they're seeing that the materialistic way of life is not sustainable. Now in the Western world, the World Health Organization says that the biggest problem is going to be mental health. In America, 1 in 3 people have a psychiatrist. In the UK, 1 person commits suicide every 60 minutes. So it's a world in which people are realizing that spirituality, meditation, vegetarianism, and all of these things that we try to share with the world, that these are very, very positive things. So yes, in many countries now, the public relations, the image of ISKCON is improving. In many places around the world, we can meet the prime ministers, we can meet the presidents, and in that way, we have very good access to influential people. So, yes. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru.
I think also here the Matajis have some questions also. Nine? 9:10. Okay. It's 9:10 now, no?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. So Maharaj, I wanted to ask, the word humbleness is indicates to what? Because once you read the Prabhupada Ji ka book and Bhagavatam also, so it indicates that you have to obey your spiritual master as well as the devotee who are higher than your position. So I wanted to understand that it is admissible, it is very much true that we have to obey our rules and regulation, whatever the acharyas and guru has given to us. But when we are dealing with the outside world, so it's a completely different. We can't be humble, we can't obey them. Our ego, anger, that time clashes. So the humbleness, it indicates what? It bifurcates what? Just to obey, just to become a slave or servant? Because it's already mentioned a lot of time in Prabhupada's book that we have to become a humble servant. Like what servant? My mind is not grasping the thing that what humbleness is exactly it is.
Thank you so much. So what does it actually mean to be humble? Like if you go for a job interview, will you tell them, I am lower than the worm in the stool? I am more sinful than Jaga and Madai. Whoever sees me loses all their pious credits. To be humble doesn't mean to think less of yourself. It means to think of yourself less. To be humble means we take ourselves out of the center. To be humble means we recognize how incredible Krishna is and how small we are in relation to Krishna and how much more we have to do to reciprocate with the love of Krishna. So when you're actually humble, you can't be depressed. When you're actually humble, you can't be disempowered. Because humility means that we recognize the greatness of Krishna and our insignificance in relation to Krishna's greatness. Now, when you're in the world, you can also be humble, but how you present your humility will vary according to time, place, and circumstance. When Arjuna was on the battlefield, Srila Prabhupada said he was also humble. But he picked up his bow and arrow and he was fighting like a Kshatriya. But in his heart, he never thought, I'm the enjoyer, I'm the controller. He was fighting on behalf of Krishna. Tasmad sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yudhya cha. He was fighting, but he was remembering, I'm an eternal servant of Krishna, an insignificant spirit soul. So even when you're in the world and you're doing your duty and you have to play different roles, sometimes you have to be assertive, sometimes you have to be strong. What to speak of in the world, even when you're playing your roles in the Krishna consciousness movement, sometimes you have to be assertive, sometimes you have to be strong. But deep inside, the devotee is always remembering, I'm not the controller, I'm not the enjoyer. I'm simply an instrument, and in this particular situation, I have to serve in this way. But I'm not in the illusion of trying to make myself bigger or more superior than anyone else. So when we have that kind of inner consciousness, then we are humble, but we're also practical. So you can be humble, but you can also be practical. Because humility is not just in external acts, but humility is an internal meditation that one has within their heart. Like that. Okay? All right, I see more hands, but I think we have to stop here. Maybe tomorrow. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.